Friday, everybody. By this time next week, I will be, well, at least for you guys hearing this, I will be a frazzled mess at Hollowroo. So, almost agreement at gmail.com. Find us on Facebook, on Twitter, on YouTube, go to the website. Almost agreement, John. Check out this boy guy going on there. Sam's going to work the booth at Hollowroo for me, so he's going to show us off the all the cool stuff that we do and promote us at Hollowroo. So look for the Almost in Agreement /Barbarian Productions booth at Hollowroo. Hollowroo.co. Deadline is Monday the 8th if you want to enter a derby car, if you want to be a vendor with us. If not, just show up on Saturday and hang out. Watch these psychos race their cars down the street. Buy some cool wares from some local craftspeople and vendors and foods and whatnot. And then come see a sweet rock and roll show, finishing it off with some Dishwater Blonde. And then roll your way into any one of the businesses down there, because we got stuff, the different businesses down there have stuff going on for the rest of the night. So come have a good time with us at Hollowroo, April 13th, 10 a.m. to closing time. It's going to be a really, really good time, and it's going to be the start of a number of really, really good times in Happy Hour. Go to your favorite podcast provider, get us there. Hit me up on the emails. You know how to do all that kind of stuff. We're going to do a show right about now. Hey, buddy. How's it going?
Hey.
How's things? What's new?
They be nothing new.
They be nothing new. It's almost like I know what you're going to say before you say it.
Yeah, you keep asking.
I know, and I'm going to keep asking, because one day...
Touche.
One fine day, we're going to come in here, and you're going to go, dude, and you're going to tell me
you're never going to believe this.
It's the craziest thing ever happened, and it was amazing. And I'm going to be like, yeah, thanks so much for sharing that sweet, awesome story. That was awesome. And then everybody's going to be like, whoa, Sam started off with a cool story. That was crazy. They never do that. And I'm going to be like, yeah, wasn't that cool? That's why you wait for Sam.
Right.
Anyway. The Farragut Mayor and Board of Aldermen story saga continues.
I saw a little bit about it.
Apparently, there's one guy on there who and okay. So again, with the legals, let's start with the AP version of the story. The AP version of the story is Mayor Jacobs on Monday came out and said we are looking into our options, and then on Tuesday or Wednesday he said I'm going to reach out to the state and declare an impasse.
Is there a little AP story about this?
No, I'm trying to do an AP version where it's just the facts. I'm not talking opinions or anything right now.
Gotcha.
I'm just trying to break down the
Yeah, but you didn't put any puns in there.
The set of events. Well, this isn't the AP's News of the Weird. I could do. Don't worry, a wrestling joke of some sort is going to come in the process. Don't worry. It was like Tuesday or Wednesday. Mayor Jacobs, in a press release, says that he's thinking about going to the state to declare an impasse on the situation. We'll get back to that here in a second. On Thursday, the Board of Mayor and Aldermen had an emergency meeting.
Yeah, I saw that. Apparently, within the rules, they have to, I guess, if something happens, which I guess was done, they have to explain themselves for their voting. Right.
And so what happens? So basically, what happens is in an agreement between Farragut and Knox County that is not under the law that we're talking about for these plans, these growth plan initiatives and all that stuff, has nothing to do with that. It's just a separate document that's at some point in time Farragut and Knox County have an agreement on that says when we're working on stuff together, if you guys opt out of it, you have to tell us why. Either party.
I didn't know if it was a Farragut thing or a Knox County thing.
No, my understanding of it is an agreement between Farragut and Knox County.
Gotcha.
So if either party decides not to do something that they are working on together, then the party whom says no needs to give an explanation why. So the Farragut Board of Mayor and Aldermen had an emergency meeting Thursday on which they decided they're going to have another meeting next week to rescind their vote no. One of the aldermen is on record saying that since the last meeting, more questions have been answered, and now he's on board. So it's going to go from a 3-2 against to a 3-2-4.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
One of the aldermen
changing my mind.
One of the aldermen who was an against was stormed out of the meeting, said this is bullshit, and pitched a fit, and that was a thing, and everybody was excited about it.
Yeah,
I don't think he said it was bullshit, but in so many words said it was bullshit. And I don't know. The interesting thing to me is the impasse is is a technical term where it's basically we have to make it's basically a way to get a state moderator to come in and force a decision.
Mediator?
Yeah, mediator. Sorry.
Okay.
Somebody from the state's attorney's office or something like that would come out, and the county would make their case, and Farragut would make their case against, and then that person would say, "This is what's going to happen." Blah 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 blah. Which is an interesting little that part kind of bothers me in the functional.
I think the mediator made a decision. I thought it's supposed to be a neutral party that kind of helps the two sides come to an agreement.
Maybe, I don't know. I don't know what the functional is, but either way, you're bringing the state in.
Yeah, but it's not bringing the state in to make but it's not bringing the state in to make a decision.
You're correct. I'm just saying it's still kind of weird to me that it's like the state. To me, it makes sense. Like you say, okay, here's how this is a process. We as the state require you to do this process. This is how the process works. You go through the process, and the result from the process follow the rules, which it did last week. When we were talking about this last week, it followed the rules. The rules are that the county, the city, and Farragut all have to vote to pass it for this new growth plan to go into place.
Right.
Farragut said no, and now the Mayor Jacobs, because this is something he wants to hang his hat on, is now looking at alternate ways to make it happen, even though part of the process fully failed.
Yeah.
And now again, there's reasonable complaint from Mayor Jacobs as well as the county commission and all the people that spent the last couple of years working on this is Farragut was part of the conversation the whole time. Like when they were having all these meetings and talking about it, what they want to do, where they want to do X, Y, and Z, all the different public hearings and stuff like that. Some of the people from the different Farragut, whether it was the Board of Aldermen or other in the Farragut portion of government, were invited and were part of this and were saying, no, we don't want to do that. Yes, we want to do that. And so through the creation of it and how it affected Farragut was part of that creation process. And so it was a little bit shocking, I think, to the Mayor Jacobs' office that it got voted down. They knew they were going to lose the one guy that stormed out because apparently there's a small action committee, for lack of a better word, in Farragut, small in numbers, not small in voice, whom are no growth, no change, no more, super conservative, tight on Farragut stays exactly how it is as best they can. If they have any say in keeping Farragut the way it is or slowing it down or pushing it backwards to keep the congestion that Farragut has become and stuff like that and back it up, that was their ticket. Like 3 of the aldermen ran on it and only 1 of the 3 won. But it's like a mini party. It's like a Farragut anti-growth party, for lack of a better word, that put out a number of candidates in the last cycle. 1 of the 3 won. And there's a couple more in this cycle that's going on right now. We don't know. I don't know. Nobody pays attention. It's Farragut. But that was the thing. So the Mayor Jacobs' office knew they were never going to get that guy. Knew they were very unlikely to get a second guy. So the 2 against was kind of a given. It was that third guy that kind of that's now waffled. That was the surprise that he said no first and then came back. It's now probably saying yes. That's the weirdism. And in other Farragut news, did you see the big presser this morning?
I think so.
The state of Tennessee has committed to start the process of fucking around with 40 from the 75 split in Loudoun County to 640.
Oh, yeah, I did see that. I didn't think it was anything new. I mean, they've talked about it. It sounded like it was just hey, we're still talking about this again. But yeah, they had something.
It puts a real timeline to action. It's kind of what happened today.
Yeah, I saw they met at a way station. They're talking about the one on Watt Road?
Yeah, the one between Campbell Station and Watt Road.
Yeah.
Which that is the most used way station in the nation.
That's what they were saying. I was like, wait, what?
Yeah. That stretch of 40 is the most traveled stretch of 40 in the entire state. It is the 3rd most traveled stretch of interstate in the entire state. So I guess 26 maybe through Nashville gets more traffic, and I don't know maybe 65, 85, maybe 65 in Memphis? What goes north-south in Memphis?
Not sure. I mean, 40's still going right through it, or right around it. Yeah,
I'm just saying. I'm trying to think of where else in the state would have more traffic than.
Yeah,
and and not B40. I guess is the point. It's the most traffic that's on 40 is here.
I wonder if they count that section where 75 splits into 40, and it's 40 and 75 simultaneously through.
Right, it is for that. That stretch is what they're working on, is that stretch where they're combined.
Right.
Because 75...
I think that's what they're counting. They're counting it as 40 because it technically is still 40, but it's also 40 and 75.
Sure.
When you're bringing two major interstates together.
Then that means it is the most traveled stretch of 40 and probably 75 in the state. If you want to get technical on running some numbers games, even though it's kind of a lie.
True.
Anyway, moral of the story is the traffic's there. 200,000 plus cars a day are going through that stretch on average. That's not a big day.
Yeah.
That's a normal day. But so anyway, it's basically like it puts a timeline on getting engineering to start looking at how to draw plans for. And so we're probably like 5-6 years out from when you see a plan to start construction. So, it's a good decade out before we would see a completed roadway change to 40 where it is. But, it needs to work, and it's going to be a decade out anywhere. Any project of that magnitude, it's, you say, all right, let's get to work on this thing. It's 10 years out before it's done. I mean, Alcoa Highway's been like a 35-year project now. I've been doing that shit forever.
Yeah. I've been on it in a while, but I know they've been working on it constantly.
Forever. Yeah. Like, I'm trying to remember, truly, it was, I think they'd already started doing some stuff when I was a student, so that was the early aughts. I think maybe when we were in high school was when they started it. So it's been 20 years. Easy. That some portion of Alcoa between 140 and the river has had significant construction. It's been nonstop. Yeah. Like, it's been nonstop forever. Anyway, that's that. That's happening. Zachary got up and he spoke and talked about the strength of East Tennessee legislative leadership and how great it was to get this done, and all the hard work all the people have done on it. And Randy McNally made his jolly happy ass into Knox County for the first time in forever.
Oh, for this road?
For this presser.
Bypass, whatever.
Yeah, for this presser thing. I mean, it is one of those, I get it from the politician's perspective. You get to put your stamp on a big, big money project. That is one that realistically is a big money infrastructure project. It's one of the few things that Republicans like.
Still, in theory, you can't be tipping your hat at anything.
We got into that last week, and I don't know how to articulate my argument. Like, I get what you're saying is nothing's done, so you can't say you did it. But things are happening that weren't happening, so you could say you did it. Like with the Mayor Jacobs thing and the county growth plan. There was no growth. There was a growth plan because we had to have a growth plan, but there's been no change to the growth plan since the early 2000s.
I guess it goes into how you say it, not what you say. It's how you say it, but not what you say. It seems like they're kind of parading this out as mission accomplished, as the great GW made a failure of.
Well, but I mean, it's when it gets through and the legislature is putting the budget in it, and it is accomplished. It is happening. Things are going to be happening that were not happening. It's too. I get what you're saying, but it's too big of a timeline electorally for you to wait until it's finished and be like, "That's what I did. Vote for me again."
All right.
Becky Massey will be 97 by the time they finish that shit. I don't know if that's true. I love you, Becky. You're not that old. I'm just kidding. But yeah, if we're looking 10 years down the road, Becky Massey's, she's got to be 70 something right now, early 70s.
Yeah, let's not.
I don't know. She's probably 70. I could look it up. It doesn't matter. We'll say 70. I'll be generous and say 70. So she will be 80 years old by the time we guess that it might even get close to getting finished. And then if she's still in office, she'll be on like her 5th or 6th term at that point. I just don't feel like you get to go and say, "Hey, look what I did. Vote for me again."
Right. I'm not saying you have to wait till the last day, but I'm saying ground hasn't been broke. There's no finalized much of anything. This is still in the theory stage. The way in my understanding of it.
Because my understanding is there's budget in play now, which means the state engineering and roads or whatever it is that starts the drawings and planning and all that kind of stuff, that they actually have budget to actually put pen to paper to come up with a plan. Where right now it's just yesterday, I guess.
There's still a chance of it falling apart?
Sure.
Okay, then.
Dude, they could break ground and they could have 2 lanes ripped up and it can fall apart. They can be halfway through the actual physical project and it can fall apart.
Yeah, I agree in that.
Well, I'm just saying, if that's your rule, it can't, if it has to pass the point of no return. Well,
I'm not saying it's
with a
past
government
the point
project
of like no return, but I'm saying at this point it is still all in writing. Like I said, I guess they have approved a budget or they've proposed a budget.
No, I think there's approved expenditures for the engineering planning to start.
Okay, so we've approved a budget to plan the engineering of said project, but the actual funding of this, I'm assuming it's going to be a pretty major project.
Sure,
has not been
$300 million.
Has not been passed.
No,
correct?
It hasn't been passed.
Okay.
Then
I mean, I'm trying. I'm trying to give you something, and it's, hey, yes, we passed a resolution that gave us the budget to hire some people to start making the planning of said.
But isn't this what you want? You want it to go into the hands of the professionals who know what they're doing before it gets started. You don't want Becky Massey saying, "Hey, redo that road," and she scribbles it on a napkin at the dinner table.
Yes, yeah, I agree.
And turns that in to the construction company, and they just start building.
Right.
So
you are correct in that.
This is the first
gross exaggerated example of
This is the first step of how a project like this gets done.
It just goes back into Zachary. I guess it's already trying to.
I mean, all of them
hang
did.
its head.
Massey was there. Zachary was there. McNally was there. Jacobs was there. Kincannon was there.
I'm just going off of what you were saying, of what Zachary was saying, that it sounded like he was already doing a victory lap of.
Oh, the Farragut mayor was there too, because there were 3 mayors on the podium.
I mean, that's great that they're there. Again, I was just trying to go off of what my understanding of what you said that Zachary was talking about.
They were all doing it, and if you want to get down to the brass tacks,
I don't know that they said all that. Maybe they were just there. They're like, hey.
No, they were all saying that we're really excited that we got this thing going and blah, 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 blah. All of them are trying to put their name on this to be part of this thing so that they can claim it in elections, which the Farragut mayor, I don't know how much Mayor Jacobs really has to do with it, and I know Kincannon has nothing to do with it directly. Like, there is tangential effects that the city of Knoxville will have to deal with because of it. There's tangential effects that Farragut will have to do to deal with it.
Yeah.
There are tangential effects that Knox County will have to do as part of it, but I don't know that any of the decision-making process had anything to do with any of the mayors that were there. I think Becky Massey, who was the chair of the transportation department of the state of Tennessee, had a huge part to do with this.
I thought another part of that story where they were saying like a portion of 640 was like one of the high traveled. And I would say part of it was trying to alleviate that.
I mean, Becky's been in here talking about she really wants that bypass. And she's like this, talking about the long planning of stuff. Like, she's like, she has been trying for 3 years now. I think this will be the 3rd year that she's trying to get allocation in a future budget to start actually really looking at a bypass that starts at 7540 in Loudoun County and goes way north up past like Powell, like up through Anderson County, and then maybe probably still in Anderson County when it hits 75 north.
Yeah,
that's a project that she's been wanting and working on and trying to get passed and move through and get on the calendars and this, that, and the other for years now.
That'd be at least like a 2 to 3 county cooperation.
Well, I mean, again, I don't know how much the county authority has anything to do with it. Like I said, I don't think Mayor Jacobs had a choice.
I mean, I don't
in this
know
conversation.
I guess the state could technically do eminent domain, but
the only people that are above the state in eminent domain are federal and the railroads.
All right.
Maybe in that order. I'm not sure if the railroads are higher on the tree than the federal government is as far as eminent domain rights and stuff like that. It's so crazy to me. That's so crazy to me. Like that bridge in South Knoxville.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Like you go over Henley Street and you take that first right.
Okay.
And you're going down to where those new apartments are built and stuff like that down there. There is a 1-lane train bridge you go underneath.
Right.
They put like a weird traffic light thing in. Have you seen that?
That's been a while. Yeah.
Yeah. It's weird traffic. Like, I mean, it's basically like a full-time like construction 1 lane. The guy that stands with the stop and the slow sign, and they twist their signs in unison or whatever. It's basically one of those as a traffic light.
Not a bad idea.
I mean, it's the best you can do with it because the only way they're going to get that bridge changed is if the railroad does it on their own, We can ask them all we want. The city of Knoxville, Knox County, state of Tennessee, we can all do whatever we want to do. But unless we can talk the railroad into permitting us to do it, they don't even have to pay for it. It would have to be, can we please do this?
They own the bridge.
They own the bridge. They own the rail lines. They own the
lines, but
they own the ground. They own the ground within however many feet of the railroad tracks, and they get first right of everything. Like state of Tennessee could come in there and be like, do something about this bridge, and I'm like, nah. Federal government, I'm pretty sure, could go and say, do something about this bridge. Now, the federal government has other levers to encourage them to do it, I would say, but the state of Tennessee doesn't have much other leverage where, the federal government can mess around with some tax thing or this, that, or the other on them in their interstate commerce, this, that, and the other. But the state of Tennessee can't do shit. Have you seen the artist rendering of the footbridge from Thompson across?
No.
They've got it in orange, and I kind of like it. And I think I kind of like it because everybody hates it.
Interesting reason to like it.
I don't know. I got into a little. This was a while ago. I got into a little spat about it. Was when I was pitching a fit about that entertainment district thing they're talking about building on the G10 garage there between the stadium and the arena. With my company town argument and all that kind of shit. I made a joke on some colloquy argument thing about how because this is right before the Super Bowl when everybody was talking about the Sphere in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
I was like, if they're going to do something, at least make it cool, make it signature, make it something that you see it and you go, that's Knoxville. That's not just any other town kind of thing. And everybody came back saying, no, don't make it some big, ugly, stupid, whatever. And it's like, you got to own it. I mean, you have no control over it. At least hope for something unique and special. We don't need another red brick tower. We've got that. All of campus is red brick towers and that weird brown they use on the stadium in Thompson. Give us some pizzazz. We got that stupid hotel that's been empty forever. That's that weird shape hotel on the other side of downtown.
Yeah.
It's very 70s.
Oh yeah.
It's very 70s, but it's, how many towns have one of those, on a riverfront in a cool spot like that? I would like it to stay more or less the way it is. I think I could get it cleaned up and occupied of some sort and maybe a fresh paint job or something, but
is it still nothing right now? There
was some guy that was trying to get some tax incentive to retrofit it into apartments. And I don't know if that ever came to any fruition. But that was in conversation at some point.
You think if it was a hotel, it'd be a perfect place for college studios.
Yeah.
Each room has room for one or two beds and a bathroom.
Yeah. I mean, it's exactly what it is. It's just you don't really have a kitchen.
Right.
But, dorms don't have kitchens usually anyway. You have
get a hot plate.
No, you couldn't have a hot plate.
Oh, what?
Yeah, you're not allowed to have any sort of. I think I was technically from my mother. By the way, I think I was technically breaking the rules. I had a. It's basically a panini press, but it was a grilled cheese maker.
Yeah.
I don't think you were supposed to. I think I was supposed to have that. You're not allowed to have a hot plate. You're not allowed to have a coffee pot.
What?
Yeah, you couldn't have a heated thingy. You couldn't have essentially, basically, there is no.
Well, hot plate's infrared.
Maybe the new one.
Or not infrared, wherever it is, yeah.
Maybe the new one's conduction.
Yeah, conductive, yeah. Conduction,
I think they run under the same rules as a commercial kitchen. You're required a hood vent if any of your equipment creates grease. So you can't have a flat top.
What about air fryers?
You can have air fryers.
You can or can't?
I don't know about the UT's policy on it, but a commercial kitchen can use air fryers without having a hood vent.
Yeah.
Because the way the thing is, because none of it goes out into the room.
Sure.
It's contained inside the air fryer. That's how the air fryers work.
The gases don't go anywhere.
But
that plastic tray that you snap in.
I don't know how it works, man, but that's the logic on it. That's the logic on it.
I know.
You can use a steam well.
When you smell your food cooking, that's not the air molecules hitting your nose.
Yeah, but it's not pumping.
Nothing is escaping.
It's not pumping like smoke or grease-filled.
I get what you're saying. Right.
Grease-filled air out into the room. Anyway, and so that was always my kind of guess. The casualty of being a long-term restaurant employee and understanding the rules on kitchen permissions, and so that's more or less is what it seems like. You could use anything in your dorm room that a commercial kitchen that doesn't have a hood vent could use, which is really a steam table. That's 90% of all you would really be able to use in that situation.
Yeah.
So yeah. Anyway, yes, I would love for something to go in. I would be bummed if they tore down that building, that old hotel building.
Well, so it wouldn't be anything different than a dorm. If the dorms couldn't have all that stuff, then it would be just like an apartment dorm.
Yeah, it would. But I don't like fuck student housing. If that's what needs to happen, then UT needs to buy it, and they need to do all the work on it. I'm going to hate on student housing for a minute, like I do.
Well, I mean, they don't have enough of it, so I mean, might as well.
Yeah,
give them one more.
It's not. I mean, you're not wrong. It is an elegant solution to getting that building occupied.
Right, but how much work does it need? I guess it's probably something they've already looked at
without spending a ton of money, and solving a secondary issue of schools. I mean, I think honestly, like me, I hate the Civic. So if they really wanted to get after it, I think they could build us a new Civic, and then some developer will come in and pay top dollar to renovate that into something cool, because you have a huge entertainment complex right there. Where right now,
I'm assuming they would look and see the track record of what the Civic has, and hasn't brought in.
That's a little bit of the old Field of Dreams mentality, though. I mean,
right? If you build it, they will come. Right?
Yeah.
But you're expecting a place to automatically bring in this gravitas that has not been established.
Yeah. Yes, 100%. That is what I'm thinking about right now. Is that you put we would get. I mean, we were joking about it pre-show. Bert the Machine Crusher is at Thompson tonight. For those of you listening, tomorrow night for us in the room. But Bert's playing Thompson. I think Bert would play and fill a Bridgestone. I think there's not a lot of comedians that can do stadium tours anyway. That's a short list of people.
Like you said, Thompson Bowling?
Yeah.
I mean, Food City Arena?
Thompson Bowling. Food City is not paying me to say Food City on my show, so I'm not saying Food City on my show.
Sorry.
But he's doing Thompson tonight. I think if we had a, not Bridgestone big, but somewhere between Thompson and Bridgestone Civic, we would get those shows in there. I think we'd get bigger. I think we'd get lots of bigger acts that don't come here. That Garth had that like 4-show thing or that crazy weekend thing, which was pretty awesome. But
do you think Thompson's a hindrance for some kind of medium acts? That we don't have something in between? We pretty much have Tennessee Theater or Thompson Bowling?
Yeah, I thought you knew that, my stance. I am confident that the University of Tennessee has put maximum pressure on the city anytime conversation about a new Civic comes up. I'm curious. Well, actually, no, I know the answer to this, too. I would think that if Boyd wasn't the president of the university right now, that baseball stadium, multi-use stadium project in the old city would have gotten pushback from the university if Boyd wasn't at UT. I think the university athletics, they know what they have. Why would I? If we have the power, like, why would you let the city just open something that's going to compete with a huge earner for you if you have the means to be like, no, we can do it here?
I mean, do you think it's that expensive to Dax lease it out? I mean, to essentially, if they fill up everything but, the upper bowl, do you think it's not economically viable for them?
For who?
For an act to come in there and play, perform, whatever.
I don't know. That'd be a fun little rabbit hole to go down as far as how the finances of using Thompson for a private event goes.
I mean, obviously they've got to work around a schedule.
Sure, you got to work. Yeah, like the UT Athletics gets first dibs.
All right.
Which is in and of itself is its own issue. What am I trying? I'd say it's probably like $100,000 or so for a night there, just for the room. I'm sure there's some things that come with the room, like you get some staffing assistance and load in, load out, or something like that. But not a lot. I mean, all the equipment and stuff. I mean, again, depending on if you're using house equipment, depending on what you're doing, whether you can use house equipment.
Right. If you're just renting space, you're bringing your own.
Right. If it's a concert,
speakers, stage, etc.
Right. If it's a concert, you're bringing your own speakers. You're either bringing your own, or you're going to like True Grip here in town to rent it for the night, and they're coming and setting it up for you. But that's a separate expense, whatever.
Right.
If it's like when they do the, which is still the craziest thing to me. I've never been to one. You said you've been to one where they do the monster truck show in there.
Oh fuck yeah, monster!
I'm sure they just use the house PA for that. I'm sure they don't bring in a special PA. I'm sure they just use the house PA that they announce basketball games with. Yeah. And so I'd say there's probably a different cost when you're using different amenities that are available. I'd say like the monster truck show probably has a higher cost to clean up, or they have a requirement to get the back to X, or they get fined, or there's an additional fee to get all the dirt out.
Bring in a bunch of dirt, right. Yeah, take all the dirt
that
out.
Thing. So I don't know. I'll see. I bet you I know somebody, and I can make some phone calls on that. Next week is not going to be when I'm going to make those phone calls, but that'd be an interesting rabbit hole to go down. Like, what would you need to do? How much would you need to sell tickets for? How many tickets would you need to sell to break even? And that'd be. I mean, I'm sure it's a lot. I'm sure to put on like a Bert Kreischer style show, 20,000 people at $60 a ticket. That's $120,000. Maybe it's $100,000. Might be too tall now that I'm thinking about it. Maybe like $30,000 or $40,000 a night for a weekend night that's not anything special. But you're still looking at another 20, 30 in other costs. Easy.
Possibly, yeah.
Easy. And well, I don't know. It depends. It depends how much sponsorship you bring into it. It depends how you set it up. Because you're going, whether it's like Miller Lights to sponsor your tour. Like Bert's a little bit different because they got that vodka that they're promoting while they're doing everything too, and so that's a little bit of like circle sponsorship. Like, yeah, this is it's like Oso.
I don't know.
It's like Oso vodka. It's Bert and Tom's vodka. It's 2 Bears 1 Cave vodka. It's made in Austin, so it's probably Tito's rebranded. I'm actually 95% it's Tito's rebranded for anybody who's curious. I'm pretty sure it's Tito's in a different bottle with a different label on it.
Is it cheaper?
I think it's about the same. Which is kind of funny because Bert, to me, put Tito's on the map. That was his drink a long time ago. And like, I didn't know Tito's existed until I watched an interview with him, and he was talking about how much Tito, like it was one of the Rogan podcasts.
I mean, I didn't hear about it until like a year or two ago.
Yeah, Tito's, I didn't know it existed until a couple of years ago, and I think it was the year before the first Sober October thing when they were talking about the plan. And like the first part of the show, like that episode was kind of built as an intervention because it was Tom and Bert
and Joe
and Ari Shafir, and they were all sitting around. It's like, Bert, you're going to fucking die, buddy. Like, you're going to die. You have to chill the fuck out. Like, that's how that episode started. And like, there was some other shit. Like, apparently, Bert and Ari had done some exercise challenge earlier in the year, just as a kind of social media stunt kind of thing.
All right.
And Bert's this lunatic and had a good time with it. And then, as the episode evolved, that's when the Sober October, we're going sober for October. And then, like, midway through the conversation, Joe's like, you need to talk to a doctor before I'm going to agree that you're allowed to do this. Because you drink enough that it might fucking kill you to go a month off. And he's like, no. And then they went through the whole thing. And so they ended up doing whatever. Anyway, that's when I learned that Tito's existed. So that was, 2018, I think, 2019. But yeah, okay, that'd be fun. I want to figure it out now. I don't know. I had too much fun putting this Hollywood thing together. Maybe that's my next step. I'll start.
Figure out how much it would cost to rent out the Thompson.
I'll figure it out. Just put an event on. Fuck it, man. Sometimes you just have to do it.
Start smaller.
I did a street festival.
Okay.
I'm already planning the next street festival. I have another beer festival. This will be my 3rd annual in my beer festival.
Does the last one count?
I mean, it was just me giving out beer all day, so it was a little rough. But yeah, I'm counting it.
It was an event.
I did the thing. It fell apart. It was awful.
What we got?
No, I was just had an interesting. Everybody listen to the Compass Points podcast tomorrow when it comes out. I interrupted their show with a curious hypothetical, and I was just very proud of myself to have stumped Scott and Jesse. That is a very rare occasion that I can ask them a question and they go, "I see what you're asking here, and I don't know the answer to that." So, Miss Gloria Johnson in the state of Tennessee's benevolent GOP loveliness decided that they didn't have anybody that wanted to try to run against her in 90. SEMA dropped out in the Democratic primary like a month ago, and the deadline for entering the race was yesterday, 2 days ago. So Gloria is the next state legislator for District 90 for the state of Tennessee, unless she wins the Senate seat.
Interesting.
Which right, it brings up a lot. And so that's so. Anyway, she's running unopposed for the seat 90 race. The overwhelming assumption on the whole can't run for two things at the same time bill that the state's been working on. The overwhelming assumption is if they didn't get that bill passed, signed by Governor Lee before the cutoff a couple days ago, that it wouldn't be able to be applied to this cycle.
Yeah.
And so Gloria is unopposed. She will continue to hold seat 90 unless
she gets elected.
She gets elected to the Senate, and then we have to go through the process. So, I asked a couple of questions to the Compass guys on the topic, because as we've discussed on here, and the way campaign finance works in the state of Tennessee as a legislature, and here's a fun one for you. As a legislator in the state of Tennessee, you cannot start campaigning for your reelection campaign and doing fundraising for your reelection campaign until session is over. However, if you're running for any other office while a state legislator, you are allowed to start campaigning and fundraising as soon as you'd like. So Gloria can start campaigning and fundraising, which she's already been doing, for her Senate race. Fair enough. Whatever. That makes sense. Fine. The question that I had, and this doesn't have anything to do with Gloria per se, other than the situation that we're looking at. There is no point for Gloria Johnson to raise a single dollar for her reelection campaign for seat 90. She already is the winner of that election.
Yeah.
Her state legislature campaign is allowed to donate as much as they wish to other campaigns.
No limit.
I believe there is no limit to that donation, to that type of donation. Plus, the maximum in a federal race is way higher than state races.
Right.
So theoretically, as a workaround, if she had a high dollar donor that wanted to max donate to her twice, and just for the sake of conversation, I will say her campaign can only donate the equivalent max of an individual. But she could have one individual donate twice, one to each campaign, and then her campaign donate to her other campaign, and that one individual can max donate twice, essentially, procedurally, legally.
Yeah.
Just an interesting little, again, I don't think Gloria would do any of that. Most of hers, she's always a grassroots fundraiser anyway. I don't see some millionaire, billionaire donor coming and dropping max numbers on her. Anyway, it was just a curiosity that came up as I was thinking through the process. Now, my other question is, what happens if... No, I already know the answer to that one. It was... What was it? Fuck. The other question had to do with, if she was like, if there was a primary still going on, or like whatever's going on in the Senate race. Oh, that was what it was. The assumption is that the she can't run twice law can't go into effect now that the deadline's passed. Well, that's an assumption. It is theoretically legally possible that the state could say, you're not allowed to run for 2 races at once. It doesn't matter if the race has already started or not. You have to drop out of one of these races. Well, maybe by that point she feels a little more confident in her Senate run and decides she wants to take the shot and run for the Senate seat. Right. And vacates her candidacy for 90 post-cutoff, pre-election.
Right.
What happens? Who's going to be on the ballot? Is anybody going to be on the ballot? Is there nobody on the ballot? And then we have some weird appointing process post-election? And both of those questions were I don't knows.
Or stumps.
So we'll get back to you on that one. I thought it was an interesting little tidbit. Yeah, that was the top. That was the top line of the local stories this week. I think that I noticed about. We had the storm that didn't storm but did storm. Did you have anything going on over your house? Did it wake you up?
No.
It woke me up. My kids slept the best they've slept in weeks because there was no pollen. It soaked all the pollen out of the sky. But I didn't see any. Like the only thing I saw was there was a couple of balloons that were tangled up in some power lines down the street that like were on like a sign or something like that got ripped off in the wind. Huh. I'm kind of disappointed. Like I got a little freaked out by watching the news on it. Like I was watching the news and my fault. I need to recognize that if that news goes for the whole East Tennessee parts of Kentucky,
right,
which
there was
some real shit,
couple tornadoes.
Yeah, some real shit happened regionally where WBIR coverage goes. But I mean, they were still calling for
they were under tornado watch,
right? And there's 75+ mile an hour gusts around here, and up to nickel size hail or something like that, dime size hail, possible, not probable. I don't remember like all the terminology and what watch warning.
It was another storm, I guess, recently within the past week or so that I saw like a tree had fallen, like damn near like split a house in two. I was going to run. I kind of like look over and kind of glance, and I was like, "Whoa, what the fuck?"
Yeah, it is a weird look.
Tree had already been like cleaned out, but yeah, almost like right smack in the middle of like a 2-story house.
Seen the rebuild on the one over here on Morel?
No, I don't think so.
Is that old like barn style house? Like right at
yeah.
Like it's
I really like that house.
I did. I was really bummed at the rebuild. Like
it looks almost the same.
It doesn't look the same at all. The old one had like Josh's house. Like Josh's house, the roof comes all the way down to almost the ground.
Yeah.
That old one, the one that used to be there, did that. It was like normal kind of roof, but then like the walls weren't quite vertical, and it was still roof, so it looked like a barn from the side.
I guess maybe I didn't notice. I thought it looked kind of similar.
The new one just it's just a box with a roof on it. It's the old cool school like kid drawing of a house, a square with a triangle.
I used to really like that house.
I mean, it's got the foundation is fantastic. Like that's a fieldstone foundation. It's
it was only stayed, because I saw when it was gone, and that was the one thing left standing.
Yeah, it was fun. It was a very interesting process driving to school every day and watching them demolish and rebuild that house.
Yeah,
because it's like one of those. It's like, oh, they're working on that house. They're working on that house. They're working on that house. That house is gone. They're starting a new place. That frame is up. Like it was just like it'd be like little incremental, then all of a sudden a huge change.
Yeah.
And then like it was like 2 days that there was just foundation. And then the next day the whole frame was up. And then the next day there were like at least it was insulated in the walls. Most of the walls were up. And I swear I saw a kid climbing off like a 30-foot ladder over there when I was driving by the other day. Huh. It looked like a 12-year-old.
You curious to look at like the annex of it and see like where their actual property line's in it, because it's a weird like little tiny lot.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's obviously, it got eminent domained for probably, 3 lanes and a sidewalk over the years.
Yeah.
I'm guessing, I don't know this for a fact, we probably drove on it back then, but I don't remember. I'm guessing that in the 90s, Morel was 1 lane each direction.
No,
with no sidewalk.
It's been the same.
5 lanes?
Yeah.
It's been 5 lanes for 30 years.
Yeah.
I don't think you're right.
Okay.
I think it's the same as this stretch of Morel until maybe the mid-late 90s is when they started widen it out.
No.
You think it's been that long?
Yeah.
Okay. I believe you. I don't know.
It's been a major road for that long.
I mean, yeah. But I don't know. But the volume of people that live back in here was not that major.
It's been 5 lanes from Kingston Pike to Westland for as long as, early 90s.
Okay. I apologize. Because I said I didn't know, and then you said you did, and I said you're wrong, and that doesn't make any sense. I'm sorry. That was not a cool way for me to approach that conversation. But I'll bet you that house has been there a lot longer than the 90s.
Yeah.
And when Morel was 2 lanes, which I know at some point it was, for a significant period, that house probably had a good long front yard that got lost and eaten up by the expansion of Morel over the years.
Kind of funky. Yeah, we're gonna take part of your yard, and we're also gonna drop it down like 30 feet.
Yeah, that's the cost of growth. I don't know.
That's gonna be a pain in the ass to mow, and that's on you, buddy.
I mean, yeah, but hell, even that house, its weird shaped loft, and I'll bet you, like even it's not a big house that was there, nor they're replacing it with.
I mean, it's damn near a tiny home still.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably, at least though, it's only 1 floor and a basement. I don't know how. I mean, it looks like it's that foundation is full height.
Yeah.
So it's a single story house with a full basement. It may combine for 2,000 square feet. I still bet you that's a $4,500 house. $400,000 house. I'll
awesome.
bet you. Let's sell that bitch. Let's do it. Now I want to know. I don't know how much I'm talking about my ass because I'm lying all over the place today.
Good luck finding.
Oh, it's easy. Boop, 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 boop. Morel Road, Knoxville. There it is. Do. What? Get out of here. Coming at me with that. There's the mall. Gleason. Which one do you think it is? That one right there? 418? Yep.
Oh, they got a good stretch.
And that's what that's what the old house. And the old house is 2 stories.
Yeah, but look at that.
1,100 square feet.
That's a decent chunk of land, though.
Yeah. Well, it's shallow, but it does go back in there a little bit. But yeah, $418,000 house. Which, I don't know. I wouldn't want to live there, personally.
Yeah. That was our schoolhouse.
It is a very cool house, but I would not want to live in that.
Yeah.
Oh, look at this right here. Oh, damn. Damn.
All this hunting land for sale.
Yeah. I mean,
there's enough deer around here, but they could wander.
Yeah. You can use bow at max, but a third an acre is a good-sized piece of land for city of Knoxville. I'm curious about this one right here since we're randomly looking at the map.
There was another on Morel that I've always wondered about.
There's a daycare. It's like an old daycare or something that's right in here behind that church off of Gleason and going into that neighborhood. It's a weird couple buildings.
Yeah, it kind of goes down. Yeah.
It could probably.
There's another one on Morel that's kind of like that, too.
But anyway, yeah. Well, this is our Wandering Through a Zillow episode.
Thanks, Google Maps.
And so, anyway, the point of why it's probably a $400,000 house is if it's in the same family, if it's the original owner from the 70s, which is probably not, but when that house had a yard, it was probably a $50,000 house, maybe. When that house was new, it probably, like when the old barn-style house that was there was brand new, it was probably a $35,000 house.
Yeah, maybe in the 70s.
Yeah, and over the span of time and losing
50 years, yes,
right, but losing half an acre of your property to the city or the county or whomever took it from you, you've almost gone up 10 times in value.
I'm sure they were compensated somehow.
I mean, the city they have to fair market on the land, which I guess that's that could be that's the inverse of the argument. It's like, yeah, they made me sell it to them at $100 a square foot or whatever it was. That I lost a half an acre, and I only got $15,000 for it. Where that half an acre right there now is probably well, 30 or 40 grand. That's what we were looking at just up the street. I don't know.
It's market value at the time.
Whatever. I know. I get it. I'm just saying it's a. I'm
you know, looking for a reason to bitch. That's cool.
I'm not even bitching.
It's sure sounded like it.
How did it sound like I was bitching? I was trying to like paint the picture for the guy that lost his land to the city for that expansion of getting paid for it.
Right.
Either directly or through growth value.
But nowadays he would have gotten this much for it. Like they gave him market value.
I said that was the inverse of the argument could have been that but if you got to keep that land, it would be worth X now.
Okay.
Listen, man, before you call me out for bitching all the time. I mean, I'm not that I'm not bitching all the time. I do. Don't get me wrong. But yeah. So my favorite Trump of the week has got to be on some radio show Trump was on, and a discussion of whether they're going to do debates or not. Trump threw out the only if we get drug tested first, because he's basically on.
I thought I read there was already supposed to be 3.
He's been. I mean, there's normally 3, yes, but Trump's on this tangent about that coke they found in the White House after that party or whatever was Hunter and Joe's,
right?
And so he's on a tangent on it, and so I mean, it's a funny jab. I'm not saying he's right. I'm just saying it's a funny thing to say.
I think it's fucking stupid.
It's
just anything to keep his name and brand name out there.
That's what he's always done. I would love for that to happen in reality. I would love for them both to get drug tested, and I would love for a complete list of any substances in their system a week leading in compared to the day of
Metamucil, Ginkgo biloba.
I would love to see that for both of them because they're both old as fuck, and I would love to be able to go, oh look. Because I mean, Trump's probably running on Abreva or Sweet and Low or whatever the fuck it is, and all his Diet Cokes.
Yeah,
he's probably got like
aspartame.
Yeah, he's probably got like a 0.5% blood aspartame level at all times.
How is he a heavy Diet Coke drinker?
Apparently, he drinks Diet Cokes all the time, like a 12-pack a day or something like that while he was in the White House.
Is that why he stays so orange?
Maybe. I mean. But either way, but for both of them, I mean, hell, for Kennedy and everybody else as well, I'd love to see it. I'd love to I'd just love to have a list of like this is what they're on and this is how much they got.
That's fucking stupid.
I think it would be and
it's just making a fucking mockery of something.
Well, it is kind of a fucking joke right now, so let's go all the way.
Sure. Just take it to the max.
Let's
have them have a blood sport. It'd be cool. Lock them in a cage and see which one comes out first.
I mean, it wouldn't be unfun to watch.
to old men.
I mean, it wouldn't be like it's not going to be like a main event UFC. I mean, it's not going to be the Tyson whatever fight coming up, or if it already happened, I don't remember. The Tyson Paul fight we're all looking forward to.
I'm sure there would have been something about it if it already happened.
I keep hearing.
Because I think they just started training about. I think they started.
I keep seeing stuff about like the official rules have been leaked and everybody thinks it's bullshit because it's like there's not a real boxing match. It's like, well, we knew it wasn't gonna be a real boxing match, but I don't know normal rules for boxing, so I don't know how to look at adjusted rules to say how it's done.
All right.
But I think anyway, it's but a Trump Biden UFC fight would not be on the caliber of fight to enjoy and like how you could enjoy a good UFC fight. But it would be like, it'd be like a car accident or, a girl fight at the bar. You've got to watch it. Like you can't not see what happens.
Sure.
I'm not saying it should be the decider, like whoever wins the fight gets to be the president.
Right.
I'm not saying like I want that to happen. But it would be something to watch. It would be
something to watch.
So anyway, I thought that was a funny little Trumpism thing. I saw that apparently the UK has an interesting little snippet in their tax code where you can refuse to pay your taxes if you believe your taxes are being used to break international law. And so there's been this coalition of business owners and stuff like that's very strict. And it's like it's not that you don't have to pay your taxes. You just don't actually have to hand it over to the government. You have to put it in an account, and you have to have paperwork showing that you have the money in the account that you owe in taxes, but you can refuse to pass that money to the government.
I saw there was a push to limit, I guess, funding, UK funding for weapons to Israel. But that was all I really saw. That there was a small coalition or a certain
and I don't know if it's the same group or it's adjacent to that group, but it's definitely a thing that's going on where there's people that are just like, basically you just set up like a trust fund, a trust fund account, and you take your taxes that are due and you pay them there, and then you send your documentation to the state. Be like, I'm not paying you because you're in the middle of a war crime.
No, I hadn't heard that part of it.
Yeah, pretty random, like kind of neat. Like it's an interesting little like kind of financially democratic piece of tax code. You know, like I can tell you I think what you're doing is wrong and that you should stop, or I could not give you my money because I think what you're doing is wrong and you should stop. I like it. We should have something like that here.
I mean, I'm assuming they check with their lawyers before they do such.
Like it was a whole big
sounds
thing.
like a very odd thing. It's like, hey, I owe you money. I'm not going to give you the money, but I will show you a piece of paper that says I have the money that I could give you.
Yes.
I'm not actually going to give it to you.
Right. Yeah, that's exactly what that's exactly what it is.
I understand that's what it is, but I would assuming from that recipient's or what the would-be recipient's standpoint, would be like, well, no, we had an agreement or whatever, or legal documentation that says money will be given to me by this date, etc., or whatever.
Right. I mean, the state or the government of the UK says these taxes are due on this day. Where's my money?
Right.
And he's saying, they're saying it's over.
I got your money. Just not giving it to you yet.
Yeah, that's exactly. I mean, I'll see if I can find that and send it to you.
Yeah.
Like it's the guy that's running this like action committee over there that's doing the interview, and he's talking about how like, you know, we went through the lawyers, we got real technical, and we found a couple of businessmen who were willing to be the guinea pig. And so there were a couple of fairly small businesses that certainly can't afford the fight directly. And if the lawyers are wrong, which they're not apparently, but if the lawyers happen to be wrong, that it would destroy these guys' businesses. But they were that passionate about the topic, and they were willing to take that chance. And so they did. And as of last I heard, at least, they're still doing business and sort of paying their taxes, but not to the people that want them. I don't know what else is there going on.
Didn't read the specifics of it, but I guess there was some kind of proposition. I guess it's floating around in Nebraska about changing their electoral process.
Oh yeah, that was an interesting one. Yeah,
I want to. Is it county by county? I guess they don't have a.
It's like congressional districts.
Okay, it sounded like they wanted to change it to like a winner-take-all state as far as presidential electoral votes go.
Correct.
Yes. I'm talking about like, Omaha. They're talking about they mentioned like Omaha. So I don't know.
There's one congressional district that is year in and year like I don't know how. Like I think they have like 6 total.
Yeah, I'm assuming that's their biggest city.
Right. They have like 6 or 7 total. Electoral college votes. They have 6 or 7 federal House members
for the whole state.
Yeah,
okay, yeah.
Something like that. And like for a number of presidential election cycles, you know, for the last 4, 5, 6, 7 presidential election cycles, so 20 years or so, it's been like 6 for the Republican president, 1 for the Democrat, like over and over again.
Yeah.
And like it was MSNBC, I think, was breaking it down, and they're like, states make their own election laws. It's perfectly within Nebraska's rights to make that change and whatever, blah 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 blah. And on the surface, it's like 1 electoral vote. It can't be that big a deal. But when you start doing the math to 270, it gets real complicated because that is basically one gimme for the Democrat, like religiously that is one gimme. Like Oregon, however many they have, all 4 of theirs is a Democrat. Like, all the flyover states, as they say.
Right. But yeah, when was the last time an election was over one electoral vote?
I don't know.
I'd say it's probably never happened.
We've had, 4 now? Not Biden, but prior to this last one, we've had 4 or 5 non-popular vote winners win the Electoral College.
Right.
How many total votes did, in a couple of swing states, which were like significantly important swing states, it was small 5 figures. Biden beat Trump in Michigan by 20,000 or something like that.
No,
it's not. They're not big. It's a couple of the major swing states that really make a major difference.
That's why I don't like winner take all.
I mean, I agree. And I'll admit that when we started doing this show and all together, and we talked about Electoral College stuff, and I made some stupid arguments about it. I think the Electoral it makes no sense. There is no other office in the land.
I think it does outside of winner take all.
No,
if
you do it by congressional district, if
you did it proportionally.
Well, then you might as well just do it as a regular popularity vote. That's what would happen.
I mean, it more closely aligns with it. Yes.
I mean, it should be exact. I mean, it should be within decimal points of the percentage.
True.
If 60% of the voters vote for Trump and 40% vote for Biden, then 60% of the Electoral College is going to vote for Trump, then 40% of the Electoral College is going to vote for Biden.
Yeah.
I mean, and in my third party argumentativeness or whatever, we need to get rid of it too, because
you still talk about the super states. It could still come out a little different. I mean, most of the states are going to be close to 50-50, but
not really. Because it doesn't matter. If it is proportional by state, it doesn't matter. If 60% of Californians vote for X and 40% vote for Y, then 60% of that, because the size of the congressional districts are relative to the population nationally. A U.S. congressional district is based on 536. How many of them are there?
People in Congress?
Yeah.
Is it 530 something?
I mean, if 270 is the win, it's 539 would be one less than half.
Yeah.
270 times 2 minus 1 would be 539. So let's say 539 just for the sake of conversation. A congressional district in the United States is 330 million divided by 539. Give or take, because you can't have a congressional district cross state lines.
Yeah, but even with population growth, I don't think the number of electoral votes have gone up.
I mean, it
could be wrong, but I don't.
Congressional district redistricts on the same schedule. So yes, you'll have a few cycles between redistricting that will be incongruent, which then just leads me to say just do a regular popular vote. I mean, that pushes even harder to do a regular popular vote. So if everybody leaves California, if just mass exited of California, and they go from 24 or something like that, they have a huge number.
Yeah.
And they go from they go from the population that should have 24 representatives to a population that should have 12, but they still get 24. They still have 24 congressional members. That doesn't make any sense. But then, but also that they still hold that same sway and power in the presidential portion of the election. That makes even less sense.
I'm assuming it goes down.
Well,
you said, the congressional,
right? But it goes down. It goes down in redistricting cycles, which are 10 or 15 years or whatever.
Yeah.
And so, but it would have to be a mass exodus, that Tool song happens and Arizona becomes beachfront property and half of California sinks into the Pacific Ocean. That's the only way the population is going to change that much in a super short period of time. It takes a decade for half of your state's population to disperse.
Yeah.
But anyway, to go back to the moral of the story is, I think we need to do away with the Electoral College and just go to straight popular vote and get it over with. What are we waiting on? Like, I don't see the value. I used to make some weird, like, states autonomy argument or some bullshit like that, and the more I think about it, it's like, no, there is no other office that we vote for. There's no other person that we all vote for except the winner of American Idol. Why? Like, it doesn't make any sense that if we all vote for it, the rules are different when we all vote for that one than every other office we hold. Because, like, the governor of Tennessee doesn't get some weird districting delegate votes. You vote for Bill Lee or you vote for the other guy, and whoever has the most wins.
I mean, I don't quite know the history of how the Electoral College started.
I mean, to my elementary understanding of it is that it was a way. It was basically writing in the knowledge that most people on a day-to-day basis don't know any of what's going on. They're just out in their farms or whatever. And this is a way to keep
electing people to elect president.
Right. And so it's a way to have a local person be the representative to go make that decision.
Hey, you know what's going on over in that newfangled town?
Pretty much.
You pick the guy that's going to be good to us.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, more or less, I think that's generally the idea. But as election law has changed around it over the decades, it's taken that part of it out where it's like you're not, you know. I mean, I think the Senate used to be it. I think it used to be like the senators or the I think it might have used to be the House of Representatives. You'd vote for your rep, and then the reps would vote for that president. I might be wrong. I don't remember the history of the election laws on that. Or we could just not have one. I don't know. That doesn't make sense.
Yeah, sure.
I love how you roll your eyes at me all the time. You're so hateful. Like, I don't get it. Like, I truly don't understand your governmental philosophy. Like, you we'll go back to the beginning.
No, we're not doing this.
What?
What? How do you see a government?
No, I'm not going to I'm not at the beginning of time. The beginning of today's show. Sorry. So we're in the beginning of the same. I was joking. We were joking back and forth. Both of us were, and I was actually the one defending the politicians a little bit about how, like, you know, they're claiming this new I-40 project as something that they had a part in, and this is why they're good at their jobs as elected officials.
Right.
And how you think that's stupid and that's not really accurate, and they think, you know, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Same thing we talked about last week. And so, like, I sit here and we discuss and we argue all these different parts and pieces, and for the most part, like, you waffle back and forth between, like, you'll shit on specific politicians, and most of the ones that we deal with every day, but you don't shit on the government that they operate. Like, you have this reverence for the government part of the idiots that operate it.
Yeah.
Well, the government is nothing but the idiots that operate it. It's a construct of those morons.
Not necessarily.
I mean, it's
not in my mind. I think I think for the most part we've set up a pretty good
framework.
Yeah, framework. Yeah,
like the framers do framework. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty good framework, but you can't guarantee the people that try to make this framework work actually make the frame stand up.
Right, because
make the frame stable.
Because the idiots that we elect don't understand the framework themselves and don't really care about it, and they're just trying to make whatever they want to do happen, regardless of the framework. And thankfully, sometimes
I'd see that even more of a reason. That sounds like you're agreeing with me that shouldn't shit on the frame, should shit on, like, the wood that frame's made out of.
Right, but the I don't like your analogy.
I love it.
No,
it's not the plans.
No, the frame is the frame and the wood is good. It's the electrical and the plumbing that these idiots put in, and the siding that they tried to attach to the frame that they didn't do a good job of. That would be the better version, I think. The analogy you're going for.
Yeah, sure. No.
Because it's framed, right? The frame is done. We're happy with the frame. The framers did a good job framing it, so we're good with the frame, and the frame is made of the wood.
No.
It's the things that we're trying to fill in between the frame that's the problem.
I see a lot of the frame getting pretty rotten.
Yeah, I agree. I 100% agree. Then that's my point, is that these idiots are destroying the frame that is actually the good part.
So they termites?
Yeah. Sure, they're a parasite of the nth degree. I truly agree. Like, I agree 100% with that version of the analogy, that the frame was good, and that these idiots that are filling in the frame, trying to replace the beams on the frame, trying to add electrical, are completely ignoring the concept of the frame and why the frame was put it in where it is and how it is, because they have their own ends. And since none of us understand how the frame actually was supposed to work in the first place, we don't know that they're not supposed to be doing it. So they get away with, I don't know, taking the header off and just putting a 2x4 up and calling that a header that can hold the weight.
Okay.
Going into framing analogies, I like it.
Yeah.
Probably not the best particular thing for me to use, just because I don't know the terms right. But I think.
But again, I don't think it's a majority. I think it's quite a minority.
I know you
disagree.
Where? Like, I mean, I know that you disagree with the majority of the elected officials in the state of Tennessee House. I know you disagree with a lot of the stuff that they're doing.
A lot of the bills that come out, yeah, I would say I disagree with. At least what most we hear about, which, like I said, they pass over 1,000 or whatever every year.
Almost 2.
Yeah.
Too many. But yes.
So, I mean, like, most of those I don't even hear about to even have a say on either way.
I mean, I think that's its own set of dysfunction. We've talked about my problem with that part already.
But the ones they do, I guess, and I don't know if it's the media that makes some of the bills an issue, or if they are just that controversial that it is actually like newsworthy of like, hey, this shit is getting passed.
Yeah. It is. I don't know. That's a good question on the. I don't disagree with that as a question in it, and how much coverage of controversy makes controversy versus how much actual controversy is there in the first place. I agree with that. I would
say most of the bills that have been focused on that are controversial bills, are newsworthy just because they are. Those are like pretty major bills that have a far-reaching effect.
Well, I mean, I think like the ones that we've had here recently, unfortunately, the truth is they're probably democratically accurate, and they shouldn't be that controversial. Now, socially and morally, they're controversial. I will fight that argument to death. But on a democratic base in the state of Tennessee, actually, I don't know. Yeah, I bet you some of the drag train shit that the state has passed that's gross, that if it was put to a popular vote, would probably still pass.
I would say, yeah, overwhelmingly it would pass.
Yeah, so that's democracy at work. If we want to make fun of that part,
that was fear mongering at work.
Well, democracy is democracy. Democracy doesn't account for idiots that vote.
There was no democracy that it was a part of it. It was a democratic process that elected these officials into this position. But outside of that was.
I mean, you're right. I will agree with you that there would have been no grassroots effort to make this bill. In that sense of democracy, sure, I agree with you. I would say if we went to if we were in a more like truly utilitarian democracy, you wouldn't see a lot of things that we see get passed as bills. Because I would argue that of those 2,000 a year, less than half of them would have any sort of grassroots. We've joked about it all the time. Like, one of the rules should be when you present a bill, you need to present why, like where it came from. You just wanted to do this because it was, a constituent's been calling me about it. It needs to be more specific than that. I don't want you to name your constituents per se. But I would like you to hear you say on record that I had a constituent call me and say that he doesn't want to look at men in dresses on the street.
All right.
Or he doesn't want his kids to see a woman in a dress on the or a man in a dress on the street. Are you truly telling me that a constituent called you and told you that? Because I doubt it. For the most part. That one might actually happen, don't get me wrong. I'm just saying, of the 2,000, I doubt that many of them came from constituents.
No, I'd say that was more of like a national kind of action committee.
Right. That is an action committee committed to making controversy for the sake of elections. That's the job. That's what they're doing. That's what the Moms for Liberty thing is. That's all they exist for. They don't actually give a shit about the books they're trying to get out of the schools. They don't actually really, truly, to their core as an organization, some of the idiots that are part of it and some of the idiots that follow them absolutely believe it to their core that they're saving children. But the people that are actually running the show, they don't think they're saving kids. They don't care whether they're saving kids. They know that by making this fuss, this has got the guy that's going to get into the office that they want him into. This is going to make them a more attractive candidate, in their opinion. Whether that's true or not over the span of time, doesn't matter. That is what Moms for Liberty is. That's what the anti-trans movement stuff is. That's what the anti-woke Republicans are. It's all the same shit. It's stirring it up for the sake of elections.
I saw a funny video of a guy. I think he went to like New Jersey. No, I think he was in Pennsylvania. Went to a school board meeting. Apparently he's done it at a bunch of other like school board meetings where he's kind of like being an antagonizer and gets out. I think he even got like recognized before he even went in. It was like part of the video. They're like, "Aren't you so-and-so?"
That's funny.
But then like got up and was, I think first it was like him like interviewing people. They're like, if there's this book that's in the library that talks about two daughters that got their dad drunk to have sex with him. And they're like, that shouldn't be in the school. And they're like, no, that should not be in our children's library. They should not have access to that
Bible
kind of
stuff.
Yeah, it's all Bible stuff.
Yeah, figured. That's good stuff.
But I started laughing halfway through years. I just had a thought. I'm like, I almost just want to get this whole like con law like repealed just so I have to stop seeing the fucking commercials with it. It has not stopped.
I would love to. I've started seeing them now too. I need to get somebody on to talk about it. I want to hear the argument for it. I want to hear the argument for why we have certificate of need in the first place. I still haven't gotten that argument that makes any sense to me. It makes zero sense.
You don't see the concept of it.
I don't see the public good in it. Maybe is a better way to put it. I can understand the concept of it for, I don't know, UT Medical Center not having to compete with X. Sure, I can see why they like it. I could see how you could paint it as a general, this way we keep better equipment available for more people or whatever. I could see how you could rhetorically make it an argument for it, but I don't see how it's a functional. I don't see it functionally making any sense to me. If I want to buy an MRI machine and give people MRIs for $1 a piece, who gives a shit? Let me back up on my ridiculous example. If I want to buy an MRI machine and hire an MRI technician and hire a doctor to actually forget the doctor part. Just hire a technician who knows how to operate the machine safely and correctly to produce quality images for patients to use, whether they want to use it for themselves or take it to a doctor to view, whatever. But if I want to buy an MRI machine and give people MRIs properly for some ridiculously, it doesn't matter what I charge for it, but if I just want to do that for any reason, like if I just want to buy an MRI machine, hire a guy that knows how to work it, put it in an office complex with the proper safety protocols or whatever for the neighboring businesses or whatever exactly goes on around an MRI machine, and give people MRIs, who cares? How is that a problem?
I don't think I've seen it as much as like a single, pop-up shop MRI thing.
I mean, as I understand it, that is a functional example of something that would have to get a certificate of need. As I understand it, there is a list of procedures or procedure and equipment related to said procedures or whatever that requires a certificate of need. If you want to change your capacity, if you want to adjust the type of capacity you have. So if you're a hospital that has 300 beds, 50 of them are ER, 250 or 50 of them are ICU, 100 of them are X. Like they break down it. Like there's different categories of hospital rooms, right? If you want to change that makeup of how your hospital operates, if you want to go to a larger ER and a smaller ICU,
so all these like pop-up urgent care clinics have had to get a certificate of need?
I'm not exactly sure where they fall in the hierarchy of hospitals. Because they're not hospitals. They don't do hospital procedures. You can't get an X-ray. Can you?
I don't know. I would assume so.
I don't think they have X-ray machines. I think for the list of procedures that they provide, they fall under the category. They fall outside of the categories. And I'll bet you that's why they restrict their offerings to only those things. Because it's stuff that they can operate and do underneath without the need to get the certificate. It's a good question. I don't know the answer to.
Okay, so in your example, you just want to set up something that's within the certificate of need.
Right, something specifically, which again, as I understand it, an MRI machine. If you wanted to add an MRI machine to your current hospital, I don't know how that'd be any different than just to do a standalone MRI station. But if you want to put a new MRI machine on the market, full stop, whether that's in an existing hospital, because I mean, most hospital complexes, they usually have like office towers that are private offices, that they rent out to doctors to use because it's useful for that doctor to be within distance of the hospital in case of whatever and this, that, and the other. Yeah. So maybe that'd be to more fine tune my hypothetical is I buy an office suite in the private tower at UT and put an MRI machine. I'd have to have, for multiple reasons, I'd have to have UT permission because it's their office tower. But just on the base core level of the concept is I'd have to have a certificate of need to do that particular procedure or test or whatever it is. Again, I need to find somebody that has more depth and knowledge on both sides. I'd love to put two people in the chairs over there and sit and talk about it. I'd like to understand it better because I can't fathom a good reason for any version of it. I know you've made the argument of like, well, if some new place opens up and they don't have enough, the community at large doesn't have enough need for what they do, they're just going to shut back down. Or maybe they're going to damage one of the other hospitals' ability to do what they are doing, and that hospital has to reduce what it's doing, and then all of a sudden we have this fallout, and we have no hospitals left because they all failed. Okay. I doubt it. It seems like a very unlikely outcome.
I guess I'm just going off partly just of the fucking 30-second video. I had to see.
You hate the commercial that you have to see all the time, and so you hate what they're representing. I can understand that.
Well, no, I've seen it enough that it's so just fucking vague that I have no idea what the fuck they're even talking about. Like right. It's really vague numbers of like.
It's something that I've done a little
lost
bit.
Out on potential economic benefits. Yes. And it's like, how do you quantify that?
Whoever's putting that thing on has an
It's like, okay, yes, in a magical world of if you built a hospital that was running at full capacity and they made so much money per year running at full capacity that, okay, yes, if there was
but that's how
a hospital that
that's
popped
how
out
anybody for any reason runs numbers like that. I'm not trying to say that makes their argument more or less valid. But that's what anybody's going to do in a situation in an ad like of that style. It's the same thing we're going to see 1,000 times in Trump and Biden ads. It's like, in an economy under Trump, this happened and this and this, and we lost X number of millions of this, and we added 50. Whatever. It doesn't matter which side of the argument it's on. They're going to do all these functionally true numbers that are unrealistic in reality. Like, yes, okay, that thing happened, so this happened. And if we extrapolate all the way down the line, we could make that into this number over here. The math is right, but it doesn't make it true. Anybody that's doing an ad like that's going to do that kind of thing. I don't like that ad either. I think that ad to me feels like this is some very specifically political motivating thing, like I was talking about with the Moms of Liberty a second ago, and that this is
Americans for Prosperity.
And that this is some right again. So and American for Prosperity is exactly what I was saying a minute ago, and that this is a group who in structural design has nothing to do with what they're doing. They don't care about what they're doing. They care that they stir up so they can get people elected. Like they are, to me, like in American for Prosperity, they're an election mill. That's what they do. They put topics into the zeitgeist that they can run candidates on, and when they get candidates to run on those topics and win, then they can use those candidates for those other things that they want to do. Which it does. I mean, I don't know. The enemy of my enemy is my friend, I guess, on this particular one, because my understanding of certificate of need, it doesn't make sense to me as I understand it. I have a very basic understanding.
Makes sense to me. But I have a very basic understanding.
What is your basic understanding? Because I don't think you have a basic understanding other than you hate the commercials.
I see it beneficial to have a reason for that business coming into it. I'm assuming there's some kind of subsidies that are involved in it.
And last time we had this argument, I gave you the benefit of that is a valid point. That part is a valid point, that if the state or the county or the local municipality is subsidizing current hospitals to do a particular service,
I guarantee you, if they're doing something major like that, they're also looking at Medicare and Medicaid as far as being a provider or whatever of such.
Okay, I don't see that as a problem.
I'm saying being a part of that federal program, they probably also get subsidies for. It's like, oh, you're going to provide and you're going to be a part of Medicaid. We'll give you this amount because you have an MRI machine, because you have this, and because you're providing this service.
I need to see receipts on that one. I get what you're saying, and I believe you. I believe that you might be right on that. It makes sense logically that is probably true. But I need to see a receipt on that before I'm going to let that one go, because if you take Medicare, then you take Medicare. That's how you get paid for the service you do. If you take Medicare and get paid for the particular service that Medicare pays you, but also get like an annual subsidy because you take Medicare, take that subsidy away because you don't need to anymore because there's more options. If there's more options, it should be cheaper for Medicare in the first place. If we have more options and I'm paying, if Medicare is paying $25 for a certain thing, if there's more options, theoretically, it might go down to $20 for the thing. And that would be better for Medicare at large, to pay less for a certain procedure.
In a hypothetical thought, I could see if there was subsidies involved, that the federal government would be more likely to give a company a subsidy, if this does exist, would be more likely to give a small place that popped up for an MRI, to give them a subsidy because they knew there was a need in that area for additional X-ray, CAT scan, whatever.
But the counter to that is, if there are people willing to provide that service without the subsidy, why would you deny them? And more importantly, why would you give somebody else the subsidy to provide that service when you have somebody that wants to come into the market without the subsidy?
So, in the inverse, is this just, I guess it'd have to be the state government?
Yes, at least the one in the commercial is Tennessee con law. Yes, is the one. What was that last word? I'm sorry.
What?
It's right. It is a state level issue. It is a Tennessee certificate of need that I'm arguing about right now.
So I guess, is it just the state that's trying to stifle business, stifle hospitals from making as much money?
Stifle is an interesting word. I don't know. Yeah, that's up to some extent. I would think it's the state on behalf of. Like, I'm assuming, like we were talking about a second ago, I don't think the certificate need was a grassroots effort. This wasn't something that some guy one day said, "Hey, Becky Massey, will you pass a law?"
Right, but as the status quo is,
right,
it seems like this is pushing back against something that's already been established.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like it would be a pretty much GOP-like mainstay, yet we are a GOP supermajority.
Uh-huh.
Not that we really keep up with them that much, but I don't hear much of a stink whatsoever. So are they all just bought out by the major medical providers?
I mean, I don't know. It's a good question.
I just
the ones that matter, maybe. I don't know.
Just none of this makes sense to me.
Okay, I'm going to ask the question that I know you. Is the GOP / Republican Party philosophically consistent on any level ever? Have you ever seen them to be in your lifetime consistent to it? They will
at times.
They will wave the flag of whatever traditional conservative policy they want when it makes sense. But do they ever consistently actually have a philosophical compass at work? No, absolutely not. No. Senator Briggs is the perfect easy example. I mean, all of them are a perfect example. You're small government. You're little g small government. You're as little as we have to do. We're going to keep our hands out of this thing constantly. So what do? Republican Senator Briggs from Knoxville, you introduce a bill to add a tax, which is not a Republican ideal by any shape and form, and add regulation to an industry at the same time. Like two of the mainstays of Republicanism, as I understand it, is less taxes, less government oversight, less red tape, whatever you want to call it. Those are like less taxes, less red tape. Like that is what a Republican is, in my understanding of what a Republican is. Traditionally. Let me add that caveat, traditionally, because it's not what any of the Republicans that I've fucking ever met are.
I understand. It's a sore spot for you. I get it.
It's not on the specific of what this one is, but I'm just saying, but as I understand what a Republican traditionally is less taxes, less oversight. God and starting wars. Like that's Republicans. Or continuing wars.
Okay.
I mean, that's what Republicans have always been, or theoretically, that's what they've always said they are. Maybe that's a better way to say it. That's what they've always said they are. I'm for less government. I'm for less taxes. That's what Republicans run on over and over again to this day. But the Republican from Knoxville goes to the state and says, I want to put a tax and a regulation on this industry at the same time. There's nothing less Republican than those phrases combined, let alone stand by themselves. I really can't think of anything less Republican than I'm going to introduce a bill to add a tax and a regulation at the same time.
I see your point, but I think you're picking on one particular bill to point out to make your argument.
Sure, because that is a specific, simple example that I know a good deal about. But yes, but to go to your question is that on the surface, the certificate of need is a regulation that is in place. That if we had real Republicans, as I understand what a real Republican is, that don't like government oversight and want free market, want the invisible hand to do what the invisible hand does. That's what Republicans are all for, right? We have a supermajority in this state. Why does it exist? It shouldn't, but they're not Republicans. Republicans don't exist as we think of Republicans.
Or it's a manufactured problem. I don't know.
It doesn't matter. Even if it isn't a problem. Even if certificate of need isn't an actual problem, a Republican should be axing it from the law anyway. Like if you're a Republican that wants less regulation, more free market, less taxes, even if it doesn't make a difference, you should be taking things off the books constantly. Like
in the whole certificate of need, I see it more, I guess, in the idea of like building a hospital.
Again, I will agree with you. If there's subsidization in there,
outside of subsidization.
You're right.
Subsidization.
Like if the city of Knoxville wants to do a pilot or a TIF or whatever, that's a whole separate thing. I'm not even going to talk about that. If there's not a direct subsidy, which I don't think there is, I don't know if there is or not. It's a huge question in this argument. We need it answered. Because we're just going to keep spinning in circles on it, depending on what the answer, until we know what the answer is.
That's why I said outside of it. I don't know why you wanted to bring it back up. Outside of it, I'm saying if a company wants to come in and build another hospital in an area that has 5 hospitals already, that's where I say I'm fine with there being a certificate of need. That I see no reason to throw one more hospital into it.
Okay, wait. So
that I can see where there is a necessity for a certificate of need.
Only if the subsidy part exists.
No.
If the subsidy part doesn't exist.
Even with,
Time out. I want to make sure I'm on the right page here, because what you were saying was confusing to me. I want to make sure I understand you correctly.
So I prefaced.
So if there is no subsidy...
Regardless of subsidies.
So if there's no subsidy involved, and we have... let's just use Knoxville. We have 3 major hospitals, and we got 5 major hospital complexes that are owned by 2 companies in Knox County. Well, UT, Tenova, Covenant. Sorry, so 3 companies and 5 major hospitals.
Yeah, St. Mary's is gone.
We got UT,
Park West,
Fort Sanders.
Park West is a Covenant.
Right. Park West, Tenova.
Yeah.
Buildings, whatever. So, fine. We have 5 hospitals in Knoxville. 5 major hospital complexes in Knoxville. 2 downtown. 3 downtown.
Children's Hospital is a part of something.
Yeah, I don't know. We have 2 down. We have UT and Fort Sanders downtown. We have Tenova North. We have Tenova West. We have Park West. Okay.
Pretty sure there's Tenova North. Yeah.
Yeah, Tenova North on Powell. Off memory. So we have these 5 hospitals. So what you're saying to me is, regardless if there's no subsidies in place, there's nothing. I don't get anything from the state. It doesn't cost anybody anything. But if I built a group of investors, and we put $1 billion in, and we bought a piece of land, and we built a hospital approximately the size of the Tenova that's in Turkey Creek.
Yeah, sure.
If I wanted to build that hospital and staff it and have an ER and have an ICU and have all the different parts and pieces of that it doesn't cost anybody anything. Nobody pays a single dollar to me.
Yeah.
Or my investors until they start using the service that we provide.
Yeah.
You're okay with the idea that the state and a board can say, no, you're not allowed to build that hospital.
Yeah.
Why?
Because there's no need for it.
So what? There's no need for another Chick-fil-A in Knoxville, but I bet you we get one in the next year or 2. There's no need for, another hemp store. There's no need for another vape shop. I found out that the hard way a couple of years ago.
Is a hospital a retail place?
Is a hospital in the business of making money? Yes. Are they not?
Is any business wanting to operate in the red?
No.
Oh, okay. So automatically, if you're in business and you're looking to not constantly be running in the black,
no, you are.
You should just exclude you from it.
You want to run in the black.
Black was bad.
No, black is good. Red is bad. Red is negative.
Red is bad. Okay.
Okay.
Why do they want to throw colors into economy?
It's an accounting thing. It's the way accounting works.
Ledgers.
You're right. You write negative number. There's 3 ways to write negative numbers in accounting: with a minus sign at the beginning, with brackets, or in red.
Like literally using a red pen.
Yeah, that is like half of accounting 101 in college.
Never took it.
There's rules.
Reason I don't play with numbers.
Yeah. Anyway, okay. So hold on. Let's back up. So me and my investors put $1 billion to build a hospital.
Yeah.
And we go and we buy a piece of land and we tell we don't this is where, like, currently I would have to go and say, hey, we want to build a hospital on this piece of land. This is the hospital we have designed. This is the parts and pieces you want in place. Hey, state and board of certificate of need, are you okay with us building this? And you're saying that because we have these other hospitals in the area, the answer should be no.
Yeah.
I still don't understand why. I don't care if we don't need it. Who cares if we don't? What does it need matter? Okay, so I open my hospital. Nobody uses it. Me and my investors lose $1 billion. What's the matter? A bunch of contractors made a bunch of money building my hospital. At least a chunk of my employees got paid for the period of time when I could pay them until I had to lay them all off. Who cares? Who did it hurt for me to fail at building a hospital? I mean, potentially some poor sap that's stuck in a bed when I completely go out of business and have nowhere to put him. But since we don't,
yeah, sure.
Since we don't,
let's pick on that one person. Let's
that 100%.
That poor
guy who's the last guy stuck in my hospital. You know what? You said we didn't need my hospital. We'll put him in another one. Big fucking deal. We'll just move him to a different hospital. We don't need this one to exist. That was the argument for why I shouldn't have built my hospital in the first place. If we don't need it, he certainly doesn't need to be in a bed in this hospital. Let's put him in a different one. He's taken care of. His needs are done.
Who pays for that?
He does. Same way whoever was paying for him to be in my hospital is going to pay for him to be in the other hospital. You're going to hit me.
Insurance is going to pay for.
Okay, fine. You can force me.
This is all.
You can force me as the failing business to pay for the one ambulance ride for this guy from my hospital to another one. Fuck me. You're right. We shouldn't let people have options as consumers. We shouldn't have more access to more things because one guy might get stuck with an extra ambulance bill to get out of my hospital to another one.
I admit I'm not providing a valid defense for this.
Because again, like this need
but
thing.
No, I'm just picking on like the one point that you're like, who the fuck cares about this one person? Like, oh hey, we're shutting down. You got to go somewhere else.
No, I'm not saying who the fuck. That's not what I said at all. I said who.
I guess it just made this poor sap.
Who the fuck cares in Knoxville, in Knox County, in who cares in the world in general if my hospital gets built and nobody ever sets foot in it? Because we don't need it. Who cares? Who does that hurt? It hurts me and my investors. It was a bad business plan. That happens every fucking day in other industries. That was my stupid Chick-fil-A joke earlier. Or hemp store joke or X joke or whatever. Like, it happens every day in every other aspect of industry. Maybe not every other aspect, but many other aspects of industry. There are people like, you remember the Tucker movie that we all watched like 3 times in high school?
I watched it at least once or twice.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I know.
Okay, so like the guy wants to build a car plant and wants to build cars and goes through this whole big process and it's a trial and the whole thing. Like he wanted to do it.
Giving examples of general business practices. I don't understand why you want to lump hospitals into just a business venture.
Because they are. They are.
It's
full
not.
Stop. Unless this is unless you have an actual state-run facility like the mental hospital we have down in Chattanooga or something like that, it is a business venture. It is. Locally at least, other than the University of Tennessee Hospital, because that's a research hospital and it gets state funding through the university and X, Y, and Z. Other than there, the people whom own is Covenant Health publicly traded?
You're asking me a question. I don't know.
Okay, let me look it up. Well, I'll answer that question. Public traded. English is my first language. All right. 5 top hospital stocks to buy in 2024. Best hospital nursing home management stocks. Let's see. I'm trying to find a more NASDAQ. 5 hospital stocks to watch amid improving industry trends. Industry players. HCA Healthcare, Universal Health Services, Tenet Health Corporation, Acadia Healthcare Company, Community Health Systems. Let me see if I can find. Let's see. Let's pick the first one. Healthcare Inc. HCA on the stock ticker. No, I don't want to know that.
Place I used to work for got bought out by Acadia.
Do what?
Place I used to work for got bought out by Acadia.
The RTs or whatever? Down in Maryland?
Peninsula.
Oh. Yeah, this is Healthcare Properties. I don't know if that's the right thing. I would just like to be able to find their...
Just look up Covenant Health if you want a specific example.
Okay.
Oh yeah, there's a race today. If you're listening to this early enough, watch out. There's going to be roads closed downtown.
Covenant Health. There's this hospital company. Operates as a hospital. The company offers cancer care. Like, what is it? What?
Yeah, well, that's right. I want you to pay to see more.
Suck it, Bloomberg. Healthcare Inc. HCA stock price new quotes.
Yeah.
Covenant Health annual report.
On the NASDAQ, maybe.
Okay. Anyway, the premise I'm trying to get here is...
Whoa, we had a big drop at 8 a.m. today.
They did.
It went right back up and above where it was before that.
I bet you that's normal every morning. That's the computers doing the algorithmic shiz they do. Okay, Healthcare Inc., who we think through some alcoholic research on the internet whilst we're doing a podcast, sells or is the conglomerate whom owns Covenant. Current stock price is about $328.80 a share. It's plus 363 for the day. It's 1.12% growth. It's not bad. It's not bad for a single day. Yeah.
What's True Social at today?
Yeah. That's funny. Sorry. So yes, going back to the original of what I was saying. Yes, the hospitals are a for-profit enterprise.
I understand this.
Okay. So this idea that you keep pounding me in the head with, like somehow a hospital is not a normal business. It's different. It's a different kind of business. They give a shit about something other than everything that every other business gives a shit about. I'm trying to wrap my head around. Why do you think a hospital is a different business than an Applebee's?
Again, as I was just about to say, you're lumping this in with a fucking franchisees idea.
No, I'm not. I mean, sure, of the different of some of the different ones I listed in my rantings, yes, some of them were franchises.
Oh, we're franchises.
No, I said a hemp store. I don't know. There's a couple of franchise hemp stores in town. There's a bunch of small business ones.
Okay, yes.
It doesn't fucking matter. What is the franchisee trying to do? What is the parent company of the franchise trying to do? It's a business. They're trying to do business, and the point of a business is to make $1 or more than you paid to do what you had to do.
I guess it's their business model.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway,
I don't know.
Let's talk about something else.
I don't like. It doesn't make sense to me. How is it on the core basic?
I understand you want to see it as an economic model. I'm sorry that I see a hospital as a place that, as their main purpose is for.
Okay, I love you.
I don't want to hear this.
I love you, but what you want to
see the good in what a company does.
What you want to see it as,
really, all they are is heartless company that they're only after their money. That's all they really give a shit about. No,
I didn't say any of that. I didn't say anything about any of the companies I've referenced in this conversation. Yes, I will argue that...
I will let you continue.
I will argue that certain companies are heartless assholes that don't give a shit about making an extra dollar or whatever, all of that. But at the end of the day, you have to make more than you spend. That is, if you're a for-profit business...
I agree, yes.
And so how...
You can't operate without... I understand this basic business concept.
Apparently you don't, because that's all I've been trying to say right now, is that how is a hospital any different than any other business? They're in it to make money.
I think we're just looking at it from different points of view. I completely understand that, yes, it is a functional model that you literally cannot keep a business afloat unless you are making a profit. Yes. That is a fucking given. Okay. I don't know why automatically that is their sole and only purpose of existence on a fucking market.
Because
that's all that you want. That seems like that's what I'm understanding of what you're saying. That no, it doesn't matter what the hell they do. Any business is a business because they're not a business unless they're making money.
Except for True Social, no business can continuously operate at a loss. So at the end of the day, the number one rule is you have to make at least $1 more than it costs you to do it. And that's the same in every business, whether it's a hospital or an Applebee's. That's why True Social had a gajillion-dollar loss in their valuation, because
maybe I'm just pushing back from
money.
Just the broad definition of a business. A business is just anyone that operates something that's making money is a business.
I mean, yeah. Yeah.
I guess I'm looking for a more defined version of a business.
I mean, I could
again, that's what I just said. I'm pushing back from just the broad, just grandiose definition.
I mean, I can respect the premise that you have a mission beyond the money or something like that a hospital might say they have.
Mission, no.
Okay, that was my attempt at a fig leaf. I'm sorry that failed.
Try again. Come on.
No, I mean, that's yes. Okay, so we're a for-profit enterprise that wants to help the community with their health needs. But why does your want? So go back to the original of what this whole argument is actually about. Why does your want, because you already exist, to help the community with their health needs while you make money? Right. That would be a more generous interpretation of the business that is a hospital. We want to make some money while we help the community with their health needs. Is that reasonable?
Sure.
Okay. Why does your particular personal want, because you exist already, supersede my want to do the same thing because I don't have one yet? Because I wasn't here last year. I want to do the same thing. I want to make some money and help the community with their health. Why does anybody get to tell me no to that? Because it might affect you negatively? I'm sorry. That sucks. But why do you get to tell me no?
You're right.
I'm not saying I'm right or not. I'm just trying to...
You're right. I'm sorry.
Sweet. You're on board.
You win.
You're going to see those certificate of need ads and be like, damn right, motherfucker.
You win.
I'm not saying... It's not a win-loss here, buddy. I'm not trying to win anything. I'm trying to understand. And so far, okay. You ready for some news of the weird?
I don't have any.
No news of the weird?
No.
Bummer.
Can
we reminisce on Florida Man for a little bit?
We can try. I was trying to remember some of the I think stories like way down on the feed itself. I was trying to remember all the different
events. Every time I think about it, I think about the guy who roped a bike to his back while riding a bike for practice.
Was that one of them?
Yeah, he was something about like.
I was trying to remember specifics.
He was trying to figure. It was his exercise to prep for the catalytic converter stealing portion of the event or whatever. Where he'd strap a bike to his back and then ride a different bicycle. So he had weird, awkward weight on his back while he was trying to ride his bike. The alligator one really bothers me. Like that concerns me long term for our local needs.
What alligator one?
We had a gator here in TWA. Got a report of a gator in.
That's right.
In some waterway.
Yeah, just talking about the cicadas.
Oh, do we have like a super brood thing going on?
Yeah, it's coming.
Oh, we should at least touch on Monday. What's happening on Monday?
Is it going to be Monday? Eclipse.
The eclipse is on Monday. It's also my wife's birthday.
I thought it was hilarious that I swear it was almost over a month, maybe 2 months ago. Small county in Texas had already declared a state of emergency in preparation of this.
Are they like right in the middle of it? Are they?
They're in the path of totality, and I was trying to remember.
We were.
Did we get schools off during that? Because I guess schools are out this time, even though we're not in the path of totality.
The kids were out. I mean, we watched it together as a whole family. It might have been midsummer though. It might have been like school wouldn't have been anyway.
Remember, I was working, but I couldn't remember what time of year it really was.
I don't remember. It must have been like late May, early June. Is my guess. But I feel like it was or it might have been a Saturday. I don't know.
No, I mean it was a weekday.
Was it?
I was at work.
Okay.
And we walked down to the parking lot, and I remember it being pretty warm, and then it getting kind of cool for a minute.
It was crazy. It was weird. Like it was super weird. The whole thing is super weird.
Right.
And we don't get another one until 40-something. And it's only a partial. We don't get another one that we get like some serious coverage until like 21-something.
Really?
But there's not another one that hits the continental.
At least around here?
It's like 2041 is the next one that goes through a portion of the continental U.S. But then like 21-something, it's another one that comes around here. Which I'm still like, we've talked about that a couple times. I've talked about it a couple times with people this week. It's like, I don't remember ever. I remember one when I still lived in Wisconsin. So I was in middle school, started my freshman year. In Wisconsin, at least. And so that would have been 93 at the latest.
Yeah, I think I remember a partial one around that time.
Right. And so it would have been early, very late 80s, early 90s. And then we had 17. When was the one we just had? I feel like we just had it. I feel like it wasn't that long ago.
It wasn't.
It was pre-pandemic.
Yeah.
I mean, I was in this house, so it was less than 10 years ago.
18, 19 maybe?
Because, I mean, we had both kids. It was, and we were in this house. We were at my mom's house to watch it. Yeah. It was super neat. It's really cool. Glad we got to do it.
Oh, yeah.
So anyway, so as far as we've concluded in our discussion in our lifetimes, this will be our third in 40 years, give or take.
No, I just thought it was funny that they'd already pre.
That's pretty hilarious.
That's the first time I've ever heard of a
state
pre-declaration of
the state of emergency for what?
I'm assuming it was just to get federal funding for, I guess, additional law enforcement for just the added number of people that were coming to this very small county.
Oh, all right.
To try to help, I guess, with traffic and then possible.
I mean, yeah, because apparently
issues, etc.
I remember we had people. I mean, I remember hearing of that people traveling from California and Utah and stuff here to watch.
Yeah.
So I mean, it makes sense, I guess.
I've seen multiple stories of if you're going anywhere, make sure you gas up because you're going to be in long lines.
Yeah. I don't know what we're going to do. I guess we're just going to early. It's early release. They're letting the kids out early for it.
Oh, is it sure? I thought they were taking the whole damn day off.
No, they don't really have a day to give. They don't have a half day to give technically, but
yeah,
they have 2 days. They have 2 total days left in this year that they can miss. I don't know what this does.
I don't think we're really seeing that much. I don't know. I understand it's cool, but it.
Oh, we're going to sit out here. We're going to sit out in the yard and watch it or do whatever. We're going to figure it out. I'm going to partake in the show.
I'm pretty sure I remember the one that happened.
You got some glasses?
In the early 90s. It must have been in the summertime because I remember my grandparents taking a cardboard box and poking a hole in it because we didn't have the special sunglasses or whatever.
I was trying to sell a pair to a guy the other day. He's like, I got my welding mask. I'm good. Fair enough.
Yeah. That's probably good. But I mean, they just poked a hole in the box, and then that beam of light, I guess, that goes through.
Yeah, we had some. We had
a
semi
actually show that.
Well, that's the other thing too. We had a semi something earlier this year or last year.
There was a lunar eclipse a week or 2 ago.
But
apparently, even then, it wasn't much of a
because me and one of the kids made one of the box ones is because it was oh, that's the day, and let's go down and put the aluminum foil on the box, poke a hole in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did that thing. So I don't know. I'm excited about it. It's fun. It was fun last time. My favorite thing, and I will talk about this.
I think we're at a point where we're not going to notice it.
Well, and the weather's not supposed to be so great either, so we might be overcast. Yeah. I don't know. I haven't checked it in a couple days.
Even better. Cloudy day is just going to be slightly darker for 3 minutes.
I mean, the last one, because we were at the totality last time for sure.
Right.
It was weird because we were at my mom's house, and the cicadas started making shit. That's where you were starting the story. We were talking about cicadas.
Yeah.
Cicadas started making noise. Birds started making noise. All the evening stuff started happening. And it was 2 o'clock in the afternoon. It's damn. You guys do this too? You know how this works. What are you doing? Quit freaking out. Anyway, we got sidetracked. What's going on with the cicada broods?
They're coming out.
We got like a double brewed this year, right, though? Like we have like a 7 and a 10 year that lined up or something like that?
I don't know if it lined up. They talked about there was one that's mainly in the southeast that somebody was telling me it was going to be like 2 or 3 times louder. I don't know if you remember.
The Super Brood.
Yeah, it was something not...
Brood X.
Yeah, I think it might have been like the last like Brood X one.
Yeah. That was last summer.
That was like,
summer before last.
Oh, was it?
I don't know. I remember like there was conversation.
There was one like 5 or 6 years ago that was super loud, and I remember like driving around with the windows down, and you would just hear it constantly.
Yeah.
And this is apparently supposed to be like 2 or 3 times louder.
Yeah.
Because this is one that only comes out like every 13 years or something.
Right, but there's a lot of it. Yeah, but like one of it's that it's hitting like there's like a.
There was one they talked about like Indiana, but it's a separate one like in the southeast.
Yeah, I remember.
I remember
looking at it. There's like for us locally, there's like a 1, a 5, a 7, a 13, and a 20 year or something like that. And like every couple of combinations of things, you get like the 1, 7, and 13 that happen at the same time, and then it gets super crazy, or something like that.
Yeah, cicada getting.
Yeah, let's do it.
Trillions.
Gonna have some fat birds. Some real fat birds.
I've not seen in decades. Every 13 or 17 years. With a collective song as loud as jet engines.
Sweet. Maybe they will drown out the jet engines I have to listen to in my backyard. That would be nice. I'll take it. So, last call, buddy. One more. Anything? Anything fun? Anything interesting?
No, I think that True Social Day was kind of funny.
Oh, that was super funny.
I honestly had the thought, I don't play stocks, but I was like, that's probably going to go up initially.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
But then
that initial buy, yeah, you buy it, you sell it you buy it in the morning, you sell it that evening, call it a day.
Well, I mean, they know when their earnings calls, I guess, have to go in. So I wonder if that was kind of a little double whammy of like, hey, we're announcing this is about to go live on the IPO or whatever. Or we're about to go.
Yeah, I mean, like the problem, like the thing about it is that it's a.
And then come Monday, they're like, and then when they have to actually like put out their earnings report, they're like, yeah, we made $13 million last year, and we also paid $15 million.
Yeah, but it's like, I mean, and it's not uncommon. It's not unique to this one, but there is a fanboy aspect to this one.
Oh yeah.
And again, it's not uncommon. There's other stocks that do it all the time. It's like, oh well, blah 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 has built this new company and they're going public. Whoa! And it's like it doesn't matter what the company is. It doesn't matter what the company does. It's associated with this thing.
I'll call it like that. I hate to call it like the hype of it, but it's. It's a lot of what Trump has always said. Like the Trump brand is its perception of, yeah.
It's the perception of something, and it's like
perceived value, basically. Yeah,
but I mean, I guess maybe for me to put it to put a finer point on what it is it's like if I ever next time, and I wish I had last time, when the Packers are selling shares. Share doesn't mean shit to me. Like the value wise, there's no value in it. I'm going to spend $150 or whatever it is to buy a share so I can put it in a frame and put it on the wall and be like, I own a share of the Packers. That aspect of True Social is a huge chunk of the value, perceived value. The perception is, or not. It doesn't even matter what the perception is. Plenty of people want one to say that they own part of it. Not because there's any actual goodness to it.
They're coming for us.
They might be.
That's ambulance.
Yep. We got a... Oh, speaking of ambulance in my neighborhood, not really the ambulance part of this conversation, but Garrett Holt stopped by again today.
Nice.
While I wasn't here.
Oh.
Like he it's so... Oh, Garrett, I appreciate you. I really do. And I don't mind. You can stop by whenever you want. I'm not saying don't. But if you're going to go door knocking... You don't need to knock on my door, buddy. You proved your point to me. I will make my decision when I make my decision. You knocking at my door is not going to change that. Literally, he was in front of my house and texted me because I wasn't here. He didn't know I wasn't here, but he texted me. He says, "Coming back for round 2." I was like, well, I'm picking my kid up from school, so I'm not home. And I was like, you can knock, but my wife ain't going to answer.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, don't make me feel bad. It's like, well, no, she doesn't answer for anybody. It's not you. And so, like, we were just kind of going back and forth or whatever for a little bit, texting while I was waiting for the kid to get out of school. And it's just kind of funny or whatever. And it's like, but like the whole time I'm texting him, it's like, you could have just texted me and not come and knocked on my door. Why would you even stop
buddy,
at my house?
How you leaning today?
Yeah. You know, it's like, I'll like, I don't know, like, he actually didn't do himself any favor because I made a joke about it. I was like, I heard you're having some issues with your bona fides. And he says, apparently that's gotten settled. I was like, oh, I didn't say anything back, but in my back of my head, I was like, well, that's disappointing. I liked you more when the Republicans didn't like you. Wow. But I didn't tell him that. But I think he listened, so he might find that out now. So I don't care. Like, I don't know. Like right now, he's at least beating Jackson Fennerer because he's come to my house and he's talked to me. But I haven't reached out to Jackson for the podcast sake yet. Anyway, so
when I was on downtown last week and I saw Mr. Sharif.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Kind of walked by and I was like, "Hey," I recognize that guy.
Yeah. That's what we do. So that's cool. Jennifer Owens.
I wouldn't have recognized him had I not seen. I think I sent you the link for it. It was like him arguing to the Tennessee Supreme Court. And I was like, oh, hey.
I know that guy. Jennifer Owen is racing a derby car. I'm so excited about that.
Heck yeah.
It's going to be sweet. Knox Dems bought a booth. They're going to be down there hanging out, doing their thing. I'm sure they're going to bring the Obama and Biden cutouts like they bring everywhere when they do stuff.
Really?
So that'll be fun. So far, the Republicans have failed miserably at being part of my event, but so be it. That's a district that they could give a fuck less about because
right, I was about
they ain't going to win it no matter what. But
they
it's
don't
like
care about the city.
It's a countywide event as far as I'm concerned. So you're not trying to sell. I mean, you know, at least for the people, the business owners that are down there, our businesses are there, but none of us live in the neighborhood. I think one does. Everybody else lives around the county.
Yeah.
So there's plenty of potential voters, whatever district you're in, that are going to be at Holyrood. So come down to Holyrood, potential candidates, and you know, sling your politics because I'll play the game. I mean, you might have a lot of people that avoid you because they don't want to do it, but I'll play. Anyway, last call. Anything else? Last call. Let's go buy some Truth Social and call it a day.
No, I saw some other stuff, but nothing's popping up.
I mean, there was some, you know, without getting into like Israel or Ukraine or some of the foreign affairs stuff. Ooh. I'm sorry. I will get into Israel just a little bit. I apologize to our Muslim friends out there listening. There is a particular Muslim holiday.
Ramadan?
No.
There's
some sort of feast day thing that apparently the White House has done, like an invitation event where they invite prominent Muslim leaders from around the country to come and do this feast at the White House with them.
So as far as something like right at the end of Ramadan.
Yeah, I don't
know what it's called, but yeah. Makes sense.
The White House had to cancel because everybody refused to come.
Uh-huh.
And that is not conjecture. That is full fact.
Yeah.
Like, we planned on doing this dinner, and everybody we invited said no thank you. That's a little bit of problem for Biden in his re-election campaign. That's just, that is a very, like, that is rough politically.
Yeah.
Because that, like, especially with a Democratic president on that particular thing. Because I don't think Trump did it when he was there. Like, I think it's a Democratic president thing that's been happening fairly regularly. Like, they did it last year, and plenty came for Biden last year.
Well, Trump has actually been a little bit more critical of the Israeli stance.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah,
that's my number one issue with the three major candidates, if I'm going to throw Kennedy in the bunch, is they're all the same on that. For the most part. I mean, Trump was super pro-Israel as president. Why would I think he's going to be any less pro-Israel when he becomes president again?
I think what I was like, this isn't a good PR.
You what? Yeah.
Like I know. This isn't good, and this is not good for PR.
And give credit where credit's due, because he's right.
Right.
It is not. And, and so Trump rhetorically is doing his best he can to distance himself from Bibi and what's going on in Israel right now. Biden's stuck with it. Like, unless he makes a policy change, he's stuck with the perception. Trump can at least rhetorically say, Even though his track record says otherwise, he can at least rhetorically say he would be different.
Who remembers the past?
I mean, you're right. I'm just saying, but Trump can at least rhetorically say it because he is not in and dealing with it directly. But then, Kennedy's the same way. Like, Kennedy's long been a super pro-Israel guy. And when he first started his presidential campaign, he's very, one of the things that first kind of appealed me to him is he was like, we need to stop paying for whatever the fuck's going on in Ukraine right now. And a lot of people were like, sweet, we got an anti-war presidential candidate. And then the shit in Israel started, and he was like, whatever Israel needs, we're going to take care of them. Well, fuck. And so, like, I finally get my wish to have a third option that has some very sliver of viability and on a very tip-top issue internationally. To me, there is no difference. In the three major options.
Yeah, it drops a big PR firm.
Yeah.
Or a post.
Apparently Tulsi said no when he went to her to ask for her VP. Like, apparently they went and they offered her the VP run. Yeah. And she said no.
I saw his newest has gotten some flack for her views on IVF.
Yeah. Interesting stuff on the national political front, but we'll get into that at some point. So we're going to wrap this one up. If you got one more thing, anything else a little short one? Yeah. All right, here we go. We did it. It's not a good show if I don't get Sam really mad at me. I love this man. He's my favorite person that I'm not either a parent to, a child of, or married to. And so he's pretty high on a very short list. Almost Agreement at gmail.com. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, and YouTube. Go to the website, almostagreement.com. Check us out what's going on there. Hit me up. Tell me how wrong I am. Come to Holaroo.co, April 13th. That is this Saturday for you guys listening. It's a week from right now if you're listening on release day. We're going to have a good old time. Soapbox Derby, running up and down Central. Street fair all day. We got a bunch of cool different vendors, food, ice cream. We got a popsicle guy, which I'm super excited to see what a popsicle guy does, because if you're going to do craft popsicles, they better be cool. Pun intended. And then we finish it off with a sweet concert. I had to let it simmer for a second on the pun joke. And then we got a sweet concert that's going to run into the night, and then all the businesses are going to be doing all sorts of cool fun stuff all day and all night long. So come check us out. Check out all the businesses that are putting on. Special thanks to Cherokee Distributing, Pacifico, Coors Original, Jack Daniels, a couple other ones. I don't know. Asher Farms. Thanks, everybody.